Welcome back to Tools and Track. In this episode, this guy gets finished. So what's on the menu today? We're going to fit bumpers, front and rear. We're going to sort our lights. We're going to sort electrics. We're going to change this boot lid for one that's got a better spoiler on it. We're going to fit all the interior. We're going to fit the new wheels. We're going to fire it up and it's going to work. How much of that's a lie, do you reckon? Quite a lot. Montage! Okay, we're now, for lack of a better reason, doing the back bumper bar because it's there. I've had to do some fairly catastrophic surgery to save the guy. With some pure rust and some grease and some gentle persuasion, I reckon we can get this thing under sealed and put back on. It'll do for a while. It's going to need replaced eventually, but it'll hold a bumper off. However, the back light holders, they are not quite as clever. As you can see, I've had to drill them out. They don't look great, and now we're going to have to try and take the lens covers off. If I'm being honest, I don't see the lenses or the lights really surviving, but the brackets are quite handy, similar to stop me having to make new ones. Right, this is what you'll normally find hanging off the back of a really flimsy plinth on a Subaru. Typical wee filament bulb and a typical wee crap plastic, easily gummed up, easy to leak, pointless little bulb holder. These have obviously died on removal because they're full of crud, so we need to either replace them, which, because it's an Impreza, means expensive parts, so we'll upgrade. Now no, I'm not going for the 99p eBay LED jobs. I'm going for the $2.99 eBay LED jobs. But the good thing about these LED jobs is that they do come with the wee bulb holder. So it's a fully encapsulated unit, which hopefully means it's not going to get full of water. So what I've done, strip down, buff back and paint up the plinth as best I can. As you can see, it looks a wee bit kind of crusty, but it'll work. So that's the main thing. We'll bolt this guy on and we'll attach this. Now I've had a wee look, and frustratingly enough, the bolt holes where it goes through are slightly off, so we'll just drill new ones. And then we'll attach them to the car. Good news, everybody. The loom's already been bastardised, so I don't need to worry about making it any worse. Let's talk about wheels. Are you confused? This is not a car that I am modifying within an inch of its life. As discussed at the start, I want a nice, clean Impreza. I want it to look fairly factory. Subtle modifications perhaps, but these wheels are so period 90s. I think they only came in the WRX. I don't even think they're STI wheels. But what I like about them is they're 16s, so I've got room for a nice chunky profile, because these coilovers are probably going to be quite harsh, and they were 60 quid for the four. I don't think there's any buckles on them, fingers crossed, but regardless, they'll be going for a refurb. Why? Because they're not gold, obviously. Yeah, they're going to have to be gold. It's a blue Impreza. You've got to have gold wheels. Also, they're going to need tyres. One of them actually has what looks like a bullet hole in it. And when I say what looks like a bullet hole, They came from somewhere in a part of England where I think it may be a bullet hole. So they're also crap, really crap tyres. I think this one in particular is a Maystorm 2B2. First off though, rubber will need to come off and we will need to get them refurbished. But for the moment, we'll mock it up and see how it looks. Right, what's next? Is loud. It runs, it's good, and one of my concerns there was the alternator not charging because the car came with a flat battery. But I've just checked that they didn't just put a charge in, so there's a pretty good chance that A, the battery that came with is goosed, or B, it's just been sat for so long that it's goosed. But it is loud. It is unbelievably loud. So we're going to take a slight detour here and have a quick veterinary chat about cats, specifically sports cats. No, these sports cats. This is a 3-inch welded catalytic converter. Now don't shoot me down, internet. The days of restrictive cats being an issue and something you want to remove on a car are long gone for two reasons. The technology in this means it flows way better than any cat that Impreza came out of the factory with, and also the chances of getting stuck for a cat by the law is a lot higher these days than what it was. Now, I want to actually go out and enjoy this car, as I've said from the start, and one of the things that, I'm going to be honest, really puts me off driving and enjoying cars is the chance of police having worked with me about my cats and the absolute absence of them. So this is going to go in. And the only problem is, I've just fitted all the exhaust and it isn't flange to flange, which means precisely cutting out this amount of space so that I can sleeve in a cat. That might not happen in this episode, but this is a 100 cell cat, which means it does actually flow quite well. Whether it hits emissions remains to be seen, but it does mean I might get a legit MOT on this. Okay, I'm finally going to get round to changing this boot over. Number of reasons for it. One, the big silly wing is pre-drilled for the other boot. Two, this guy's actually pretty rotten. Underneath where the mid-level spoiler is, it's actually covered in rust, so the new wrong colour boot lids is going to be the one to use. Plus it gets rid of this irritating sticker. Job to do, not just 4 bolts to take the boot lid off. The lock is actually an integral part of the boot as opposed to somewhere else in the chassis. So this will have to come and be put onto the new boot. Unless, of course, it doesn't work with the key, in which case there's no point in doing it anyway. Who wants to place a bet? I don't. I did not expect that to be the end result there. I'm amazed that it actually has the only key that works and it opens the boot. I won't lie, I was kind of hoping it wouldn't, so I wouldn't have to do this job, but you know, I'll be glad of it later. This is an awkward job, so get a friend to help you. That's still an awkward job. You should get somebody to help you. If there was ever any doubt before this needed a respray, it definitely does now. That's Ganton. Okay, spoiler alert. Absolute terrible part. I am missing a number of captive threaded nut things in here. Now I've got a couple that remain, but this guy here was completely missing and the same on the other side. So, whilst I was fiberglass and low cost, I thought, it's worth a punt. I'll fiberglass in as best I can using the resin a bolt and hold it in place with a nut and see if that'll be enough to hold it. Just enough so it'll bite on the other side. It's been 48 hours, so let's place bets. it's just spinning a whole lot. Right, it was worth a try. Always worth trying something new, hoping it's going to work. But the minge bag way is not going to be the approach. If a job's worth doing, it's worth doing right. A bit of a lesson I should have took at the start of this process. But hey ho, it's not even close to a blondie in. Right, there's a lot of weight in this spoiler. I've got a lot of concerns, to be quite honest, about it falling off, and I really should have just noted those concerns before I started this minge bag approach. Now, let's look at something a bit more permanent. So what have I done? Well, I have made 3 captive nuts that will fix and stay in position as soon as our constellations line up with these holes. Now, before you ask, but how do you get this to stay in place when you're fumbling to get the spoiler on the boot? Well, now that I've proven that these line up, and they will nip up pretty well, I'm going to undo it, pull it back out, Sikaflex it, put it back in and gun it up properly. Then I'm going to leave it for 24 hours, so when these come out, the metal plate stays behind. Not bad, eh? Also, I'm probably going to give it a wee bit of paint as well because, well, it does live outside, it's probably going to rust. And the last thing I want is big brown streaks flopping down from underneath the spoiler. That's a good one. Time to do the other side. We can get the spoiler on. This is definitely getting 24 hours to set. Hopefully the silicone I've put in here will bond and actually hold this plate in place so that when these bolts come out, the plate stays, and then we can put it in the boot and just chuck bolts in. Morning. That's the coffee done, first thing in the morning. Let's see how these have turned out. Right. Oh, promising. Will the bolt come out though? 1, 2 out of 3, no snags. Lovely. So, what better place to finish off an episode than finishing off a list? Brakes, they're done. Well, I think the fronts are alright, but we'll need to road test that to suss that out. Battery, found one, chucked it in, it works. Near side wing, well, we just replaced both wings, that's done. The rear welding was done, rear bumper bar's been replaced, fuel line's been dealt with, and the front bumper bar was replaced. So, what was the to-do list off the back of that? Offside front wing support, put that on, front bumper bar was done, brake line's done. Suspension's been put on, brakes have been bled. Yes, they have been bled. Denitrol, well, we undersealed the car, and we've repaired the outer wing at the back. Finished. That just leaves us with this, which means I need to put this on its wheels and put it outside. That is the next episode. I'm going to take this a quick hurl, get it ready for an MOT, and then it's going to be paint time. So that's probably not going to happen within the next week or two. So at this point, I'm going to have to wrap up and thank everyone. If you just joined us for this Impreza build, it's not finished, obviously. Stick with us. In the coming weeks, we will actually get it through an MOT and see if it drives any good. But for everyone running up the side of the screen who's a Patreon supporter, massive thanks. I will be honest, the Patreon support's a low cost, but still, it helps me do this. Not financially, but, you know, emotionally. Anyone else who just joined us, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. It's the only way we do. And that's about it. We'll be back next week with something, maybe. Thanks for watching. I don't think that boot's connected. Oh shit. Please open, please open. Oh, thank Christ.